Hello, it's Dr. Rhonda Johnson. Today is Monday, October 11th, 2021. And before I begin today's topic about mental health, President Biden has proclaimed Monday, October 11th as Indigenous Peoples Day, becoming the first U.S. president to formally recognize this day. And I want to take a moment to honor the indigenous communities that have lived in this land that is now designated as the United States of America for thousands of years, and pay my respects to their ancestors and elders and living descendants who continue to try to preserve their culture, traditions, and way of life. Now, yesterday was World Health Organization's observance of World Mental Health Day. The objective of World Mental Health Day is to raise awareness of mental health issues around the world. But so many people don't even recognize the types of mental health illness. And broadly speaking, they can be mood disorders such as bipolar disorder or depression, personality disorders, psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia, eating disorders, trauma-related disorders such as post-traumatic stress, and substance abuse. Mental health illness can often go unrecognized, but here are some common red flags or warning signs, not in any particular order. Excessive worrying, anxiety, paranoia, sadness which lasts a long time, extreme changes in moods and irritability, social withdrawal, major changes in sleeping and eating patterns. Sometimes people will show a decrease in their functioning, like they may quit going to class or forget to take a bath, or their hygiene or appearance drastically changes, or drop out of sports. Some people can be forgetful or distracted, or have unusual thinking, like retreating into their own fantasy. But here's what we need to remember. Mental illness does not usually go away on their own. They're not just phases or stages of life. You have to pay attention to the warning signs and get help. Now, I do a lot of talk about COVID, so what's the link between COVID pandemic and mental health? Well, a study published in a major British journal last week revealed that the pandemic has led to a huge surge in anxiety and major depressive disorders around the world, particularly with women and young people. This study was led by researchers out of Australia, and they recorded 76 million additional cases of anxiety disorder diagnosis and 53 million cases of major depressive disorder as COVID-19 spread in 2020. For young people, it was school closures that kept them away from school, and many women found themselves burdened with excessive housework, increased risk of domestic violence, and they suffered the most from the social and economic hardships of the pandemic. Now, you may remember that a CDC did a survey last year in May of 2020, which showed that 11% of U.S. adults seriously considered suicide last spring. And then in June of this year, 2021, the CDC published a report which showed that from February 21st to March 20th, 2021, suicide attempts brought girls to visit the emergency room. And the suspected suicide attempt rates were 51% higher among girls aged 12 to 17. And among boys aged 12 to 17, suspected suicide attempt emergency room department visits increased 3.7%. Now, that was before the summer and the opening up of the world. Social isolation is a distant memory for a lot of people. People are back in school, work, campuses, universities, sporting events are packed. So what is the state of mental health currently here in the United States? Well, the CDC published a report on October 8th in their weekly Morbidity and Mortality Journal, which shows a slight decrease in anxiety and depression in the first half of this year. This was self-reported in the national survey. But we have to remember that not everybody participated in the survey, and the pandemic affected people in different ways. So folks, if you're experiencing, or you know somebody else who is experiencing anxiety, depression, signs of mental health illness, it's important to get help. There are a lot of services available. If you don't know where to turn, you can start off with SAMSA, their Helpline. SAMSA is the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. They offer a national helpline which runs 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a start. That number is 1-800-662-HELP. That's the SAMSA National Hotline. 1-800-662-HELP. And then there's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is a United States suicide prevention network. It offers, again, toll-free help, free services 24/7, 365 days a year. You can call 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. If you can't call, you can text somebody. You can text HOME, home, to 741-741 to connect with a crisis counselor. So again, there are some things you can do. You can also talk to a life coach, your pastor, a friend who you trust. And if you can't do any of that and you just need to do something immediately, if you're feeling anxious, get outside, get some fresh air. Go for a walk or just start moving. Meditate. Think about journaling or doing something artistic. Turn on some relaxing or instrumental music. Turn off the news and social media. Download some calming apps on your phone. And always take some deep breaths for an immediate intervention. But again, if you are contemplating suicide, you can always call 911 also for emergency assistance. So that's my message today. We need to bring mental health issues to the forefront. This message is not intended to be medical advice, but for informational services. Mental health affects everyone, the young, the old, the rich, the poor, people from all walks of life, socioeconomic backgrounds, as well as races and ethnicity. We know that this pandemic has disproportionately impacted some communities, so some communities may already be feeling more stress, and the pandemic has just tipped people to the edge. So folks, do something. Don't ignore it. Get help for yourself and your loved ones. As always, my views are my own, and have a blessed day.